Well, good Monday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business and let's wake up the football gods here on this Monday morning. You know, it's funny about the NFL. The NFL is crazy because from week to week, you never know what's going to happen, you know? And it seems like every week that somebody has been the hot team, all of a sudden something happens to destroy that. The Detroit Lions last week, people were beginning to say they're a top 3 team, you know, maybe they need to get more love and things. And then they got mollywopped by the Ravens. Let's listen to this morning.
First time in, 3 straight weeks, we don't have a 9:30 a.m. game. There are a couple of those coming up in November when the NFL goes to Germany for 2 games. This week, we'll start at 1 o'clock Eastern. Lions at the Ravens. One of the great games of the day. On a thin schedule with only 13 games, this is one of the ones that stands out, especially in the early window. The Lions 5-1, still looking for respect. This is a great way to get even more respect. You go into Baltimore and you beat a Ravens team that just seems to just randomly shoot itself in the foot.
Yeah, right.
Like, even last week, when they were dominating the Titans, all of a sudden the Titans are back in it. It's like, come on, Ravens, you got to slam the door on some of these teams. You got to stand up and show us you're capable of putting it together for 60 minutes and kicking the crap out of teams, because when it's clicking well for the Ravens. So, will it click for the Ravens with Detroit coming to town on Sunday?
Well, they certainly will have the Ravens' attention, right? And I hear what you're saying about the Ravens. But to me, like, you know, we know the Lions. I said it last week on Football Night in America. It's like, forget that we're out of the Lions are a playoff team. This is fun. The Lions have proven that they can go to the Super Bowl, in my eyes. Through 6 weeks, the way they look, they are in the same tier as the 49ers and the Eagles. I would put them there, in the upper echelons of the NFC there. And then you got, you know, the Cowboys and the Seahawks and some other teams that I'm probably missing off the top of my head there. But either way, I mean, there's a lot to be impressed with both of these football teams. When I look at the Ravens, kind of to your point, when they play their best, you go, man, that team right there is as good as any team in football.
They looked good last night.
Like you said. Now, they got to, work on red zone offense and getting in the end zone, and they made mistakes against Pittsburgh, like you said, and all that. But they have moments, like you said, where you look at it and you go, man, this is some high-quality football. I think on the road in Baltimore, right, this is one of the best defenses in football in the Ravens, and I know this is one of the best offenses in football with the Detroit Lions. I'm excited for that matchup. But, it's one where I go, man, the Ravens, all the big people they got up front, I think they can slow that run game down, and they're always creative in the secondary. I think the other side of the ball, I look at it and go, man, the Lions can really stop the run, right? Number 1 run-stopping defense in football. But the Ravens are a different animal when it comes to running the ball. And here's another thing that I'll throw out to you. I kind of said this on my podcast last week. The Lions are kind of a go all in on certain things, Mike, where what I mean by if you get in a running set, they go like, we're going all in to stop the run then. And they kind of like, I look at film of them at times and go, somebody's got to take some shots on them. You can't let them get away with, hey, it's 3rd and 4, and they'll play a defense that goes, you're not going to throw for 5 or 6 yards to get the first down. You're going to have to do something down the field. I think the Ravens are the kind of team that have the guts to do that, where they'll go, you know what, 3rd and 3 or 4, they want to crowd the line of scrimmage like that, we'll do a little play action or some tricky play and throw a bomb over your heads if you guys want to worry about stopping the run. I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one, realizing that, hey, they can't go to 4 and 3. They're at home. Good. 24-20, motherfucking Ravens. Let's go.
Man.
Here we go.
Boy, you jump off the Lions bandwagon very, very quickly. You were all in. You were roaring like a motherfucker last week.
This is a tough one here. This is a very close football game.
I've learned my lesson the hard way. And the moment for me was the long touchdown throw from Jared Goff to Jamison Williams. I made that comparison on Monday to the 98 Vikings. And when you see Jamison Williams, number 1, get open, number 2, adjust his body, number 3, make the catch, And I know that, like, from time to time I'll say George Pickens has some Randy Moss in him. Jameson Williams has some Randy Moss in him.
Yeah.
I'm looking for another Randy Moss because the NFL is a hell of a lot more exciting when there's a Randy Moss in it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Jameson Williams gives the Lions that deep threat. And with Ben Johnson's creativity at offensive coordinator for the Lions,
he's going to pick the Lions. And I show this because it's funny, because the NFL is crazy. You saw that the Lions ended up beating Kansas City opening week. You know, their only loss had been to the Seattle Seahawks, and you started saying maybe they are for real. And then they get mollywopped by the Ravens. The NFL is so unpredictable. From one week to the next, you don't know what's going to happen. Now, this week, I have to give credit to, and as much as it hurts me, got to give credit right now to the Eagles. The Eagles at the moment, you look at and say, it could be the best team in football. They've got one loss. They ended up beating Miami, who you thought was a really good team. Turns out maybe Miami benefited from having the easy part of the schedule and things, because they've wilted now against the better teams. They've got beaten badly by the Eagles last night. They had no answers on defense. Their defense is not good. And they questionable. You know, you looked at one of the great offensive coordinators and now head coaches. It seemed like they kept doing a Mike McCarthy last night and kept trying to run the ball up the middle of the field. The thing you have to look at when you're playing the Eagles is they have a great front line. Running in the middle of the field is stupid. It's the same thing with the Chargers. The Chargers have a great middle of the field. Trying to run up the middle on that field is not going to be good. Now, the Cowboys, time to get back to work this week. We've got a game against the Rams. The Rams have had a couple of good games, but for the most part haven't been a great team. They are a team that ended up getting rid of a lot of players in the offseason. The Cowboys get a win against the Rams and then have that showdown with the Eagles. The next 2 weeks, literally, I'm not going to say make or break for the Cowboys, because the reality is there's 11 games left. You've got 4 wins. If you go 6-5, slightly one game above 500, you got 10 wins. You'll be in the playoffs. And now looking at the schedule now, after yesterday, where at first you saw the Lions that looked really, really good. All of a sudden you see, okay, they're not as good. They're not quite ready for prime time like you think. And looking at the Miami Dolphins, and, of course, looking at the Buffalo Bills, all the teams that we are facing, because Buffalo, of course, lost to New England, who was reported that Bill Belichick had gotten an extension in the offseason, but before the game they were talking, is it possible that Bill Belichick gets fired? Well, you look at Josh Allen and crew, and they are quite up and down. Now, they're a 3-loss team. So what looked to be really killer in December might not be quite as bad as you think. The Lions, Buffalo, and, what's the other team? The Lions and Buffalo both lost yesterday. And I can't think of the other team that we're facing in December that also lost yesterday. But you look at this and say, maybe it's not going to be as bad as we think, because it'll be a matter of who do we play and how are they playing that week. All bets are off as far as the NFL goes. And even though the Eagles did win yesterday, I'm not sure they're as dominating as we think. This is the crucial part of the Eagles stretch right now. They kind of have the Commanders that are down and looking like they're out. And then they've got us. They've got the 49ers. They got the Bills. They got Kansas City. You know, they've got a rough road to hoe. They passed the first test on that. Let's see if they pass them all. So we'll see what we see. We have 1 week and a day for the trade deadline. And if I'm the Cowboys and looking at the landscape right now, I don't know that there's not a better time for them to go all in. You've been able to beat the Eagles on a regular basis, even though the Eagles fans will say that record is fraudulent. You still need to be able to compete with San Francisco. And as you look at the landscape, you got to say, we have as good a chance as anybody else. Why not push the chips in a little bit more? Why not try and make sure that we have enough pieces, a little bit extra, a little bit firepower, a backup here on the offensive line, some better linebackers, maybe another corner, and say, this can be the year. The Cowboys, we want to put it on the quarterback all the time, but you don't have the weapons like other teams have. When I see Dallas Goedert over there, when I see A.J. Brown over there, when I see Devontae Smith, the weapons that Jalen Hurts has to work with are far and away more and better than what the Cowboys have. Why not try and say, we want to compete, we want to win now? We'll see if Jerry Jones does anything. I'm kind of doubting that they will, but this is the time to go all in. All right, good people. I appreciate you guys. As always, got a job to go do this morning. We'll be live streaming, of course, the game tonight. I hope you tune in. And as always, I'll see you soon.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is